What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Traptrix deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck at controlling the board with all sorts of powerful trap hole cards. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Traptrix Marmelio. Traptrix Marmelio is an amazing normal summon in this deck because when this card is normal summon, you can add a whole normal trap card from your deck to your hand, which is an amazing effect for this card to have to get the exact card that you need. If this card is special summon, you can target a spell or trap card your opponent controls and destroy it, which is amazing. This card is basically walking MST. We then play 3 copies of Traptrix Mantis. Traptrix Mantis is basically the Stratos for the deck, that when this card is normal summon, you can add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool ability for this card to have. Also, quick effect, you can target one set spell or trap card that you control and return that card back to the hand. Then you can set a spell or trap card from your hand, which is a really cool ability for this card to have, to basically bounce your back row off the field if it's going to be targeted to be destroyed, and then set it right back to the field, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of Traptrix Pudica. Traptrix Pudica is definitely a 3 of in the build, because when this card is normal summoned to your side of the field, you can search the field spell Trap Trip Garden, which is an amazing field spell. But this card has a really cool ability. If this card is special summon, you can actually target a special summon monster that your opponent controls and banish it. Also, during the next standby phase, your opponent can special summon one of their banished monsters. But that's a really cool ability for this card to have, to be able to deal with a card on your opponent's side of the field. We then play 2 copies of Traptrix Dionia. This card is really cool as a 2 of in the build because this card has a great ability that when this card is normal summon, you can actually target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon that targeting defense position, which is a great ability to get you one of your Traptrix monsters back on the field. You really only want to play 2 copies of this card because you do need a Traptrix monster in the graveyard to resolve that ability, but she's a definite 2 of in the deck. If she's special summoned, she also lets you target one of your whole normal trap cards in the graveyard and set it back to your side of the field, but banish it during the end phase of your next turn if it's still on the field, which is a pretty good effect to be able to recycle your trap hole cards. We then play 2 copies of Arachnacampa. Arachnacampa is an amazing extender in this deck. This card has the ability that you can actually quick effect special summon this card from your hand to your side of the field if you control a Traptrix monster, which is a great ability. But she does lock you into special summon from the extract for the rest of the turn, except for insect and plant monsters, which isn't that big of a deal because all of our Traptrix monsters are either plants or insects, making it really easy to play around this card. It's really good in this deck as an extender, but you only need 2 copies of this card because it's very easy to search this card off of cards like your copies of Mantis. We then play 3 copies of Parallel XZ. Parallel XZ is an amazing 3 of in the deck because if you do link summon, you can special summon this card from your hand to a zone that monster points to, and then special summon an additional Parallel XZ from your deck. They both become level 4 and they both go to 1000 attack and defense, but it gives you 2 level 4 monsters on the field so you can make rank 4 plays into cards like Rafflesia or any of your other rank 4 monsters you play in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is an amazing 3 of the deck just to stop your opponent from touching the deck, and it's a crazy powerful hand trap. We then play 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird is crazy powerful as well in this deck because it stops your opponent from searching for the rest of the turn, and with you already controlling the board so much with your trap hole cards, this card can be really powerful in this deck. It's stopping your opponent from getting to any of their other cards that they might need. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, guys, we're going to start off with our 2 copies of Trap Trip Garden. Trap Trip Garden is a definite 2 of in the build because this card is a great ability that gives you an additional normal summon of one of your Traptrix monsters every turn, which is a great effect for this card to have. It also gives you a little bit of protection because the first time each insect or plant monster that you control would be destroyed by a battle each turn, it is not destroyed. It also has a crazy powerful effect. You can banish one monster that you control and then special summon a Traptrix monster from your hand hand or graveyard, which is a great ability for this card to have, to give you the ability to special summon your Traptrix monsters to your side of the field, so you can get the effects of, for example, like your copy of Marmelio being able to pop spells and traps that your opponent controls. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. Triple Tactics Talents is a great card just in case your opponent hand traps you or activates a monster effect during your turn. You can either draw 2 cards, take control of an opponent's monster, or look at your opponent's hand and shuffle a card back in the deck, which is such a powerful effect for this card to have. Plus, it's just really good at helping you dig into the deck for that draw too. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Floodgate Trap Hole. This is one of the best trap holes we have in the deck. Being able to flip your opponent's monsters face down and keep them face down is just extremely powerful. We then play a single copy of Terrifying Trap Hole Nightmare. I really like this card as a 1-of in the build. I have considered changing it out for Time Space Trap Hole, but it's still really good as a 1-of in the build, as if your opponent has special summon a monster this turn, you can target 1 monster that your opponent controls with 2,000 or more attack points and destroy it. Then, if you have a whole normal trap card in your graveyard, you can banish a monster from your opponent's graveyard as well, which is a pretty cool ability. We then play a single copy of Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. This card is a great negate in the deck, which is why I play this card as a 1-of in the build, because when a monster your opponent controls that was special summoned this turn activates its effect, you negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that monster, which is a really cool effect for this card to have. We then play a single copy of Bottomless Trap Hole. This card is a classic trap hole and an amazing card in this deck, because when your opponent summons a monsters with 1,500 or more attack, you destroy those monsters with 1,500 or more attack, and if you do, banish them instead of sending them to the graveyard, which is such a cool ability for this card to have. We then play a single copy of Grave Trap Hole. This card is almost like Called by the Grave, and I really like playing this card as a 1-of, because you can use it with your copy of Rafflesia, but it's great in this build because it has a really cool ability that when your opponent activates a monster effect in the hand or in the graveyard, you can actually banish, or when your opponent has banished monsters effects that activate their effect, you can negate the effect, and if you do, inflict 2,000 points of damage to your opponent, which is such a cool ability to be able to use with this card. I love this card as a 1-of in the build. I used to play it at 2, and I do consider kind of playing it at 2, but I really like this card in the build. We then play 3 copies of Holtia. Holtia is insanely powerful in the deck, because this card is actually a trap monster that can special summon itself to your side of the field, that you can activate this card the turn it was set by discarding a normal trap card, which is really easy to be able to do in this build. It also has the ability to special summon this card in defense position as a normal trap monster that is a plant effect, level 4, 400 attack, 2,400 defense, and this card is not treated as a trap card when it's on the field as a monster, which is so cool about this card. It also has the ability you can banish this card from your graveyard and target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field, but you can only use 1 of this card's effect per turn and only once that turn, which is a really cool thing about this card, that it summons itself as a monster to your side of the field, so you can go in for cards like your Sarah, or even go into rank 4 plays with this card. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is a definite 3-of in the build, just to stopping your opponent's monster effects and also locking down entire columns of spells and traps when you set this card to your side of the field. We then also play 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Being able to board wipe your opponent is absolutely insane, and this card is amazing because if it resolves, you usually win the game. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Rafflesia. Rafflesia is a crazy powerful card that you always want to put on your side of the field, because she lets you activate your trap hole cards directly from the deck, which is really insane to be able to use with this card. She's an absolute 2-of in this extra deck, because she's very easy to make because she is generic, and she's just an absolutely crazy powerful card. This card is so good in this deck and just a really cool addition to Traptrix. We then play 2 copies of Pangicula. Pangicula is really amazing as a 2-of in this build as well, because while this card is a material, it's unaffected by trap effects and the activated effects of other monsters with the same type as this card has material, which is a great ability for this card to have. And you can also detach a material from this card to add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great ability to be able to search one of your Traptrix monsters that you might need, like a copy of your Arachnocampa to extend your plays, which is such a cool thing about this card. And if a monster owned by your opponent is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, except during the damage step, you can actually attach one of those monsters to this card as a material, which is great to leave this card on the field, so you can basically just start eating your opponent's monsters, which is just so cool. We then play a single copy of Alamirez. You just need a single copy of Alamirez, but this card is great as an extender in the deck because you can actually detach two materials from this card to special summon a level 4 insect or plant monster from your graveyard, which is a great ability. She also has the ability, if an opponent's monster leaves the field because of your card effect and is now in the graveyard or banished except during the damage step, you can detach a material from this card and target one of those monsters and special summon it to your field, which is a crazy awesome effect for this card to have. We then play a single copy of Redoer. Redoer is just amazing in this deck because you can make it with Holtia and be able to get its trap effect to be able to place a card your opponent controls back on top of the deck, which is just super good about this card. Plus it takes a card off the top of your opponent's deck and attaches it to this card during the standby phase, which is really amazing about this card. We then play a single copy of Baguska just in case we need to lock down the field while also setting up plays, and this card is just amazing in this build. Play a single copy of Merrymaker. Merrymaker is great so we can make Zeus. We then play a single copy of Gigantic Champion Sargus because you can overlay this card on top of Merrymaker to make a 4 material Zeus, which is just so good in this deck to be able to make Zeus with 4 materials. We then play a single copy of Zeus. We usually make this on top of our copy of Gigantic Champion Sargus, which is just such a cool card to be able to make because you just make your copy of Merrymaker first and then immediately make your 2800 attack point Gigantic Champion, and then you attack with it and then make Zeus, which helps you get a board wipe while also getting a really big Zeus. We then play 3 copies of Sarah. You absolutely need 3 copies of Sarah. This card is the heart and soul of the deck. This card is so important. It takes just one Traptrix monster to make this card. But this card helps you recycle your cards so fast, and this card is so important because it has a really cool ability that if a normal trap card is activated, you can special summon a Traptrix monster from your deck with a different name than cards that you control, which is a great effect. And if your other Traptrix monster effect is activated, you can set a whole normal trap card from your deck as well, which is a really cool ability that basically if you activate a whole card, you get a Traptrix. If you activate a Traptrix, you get a whole card, which is just super cool, the amount of pluses that this card generates you. We then play a single copy of the Link 2. This card is a great one-of in the deck because it has a really cool ability that after you activate a whole normal trap card, you can actually set it instead of sending it to the graveyard. Basically think of Scrap Iron Scarecrow is the way this card works, that when you flip your card up, it just goes right back face down and you can use it on the following turn, which is a great ability about this card. It also has the ability during your end phase, you can target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position, which is a great ability for this card to have. We then play a single copy of Adipus. Adipus is great at OTKing your opponent, which is why we play this card as a one-up because it has an awesome effect. This card, Link Summon card, is unaffected by trap effects and all Traptrix monsters you control gain 1000 attack while you have a normal trap card in your graveyard, which is the main effect we're going to use on this card to be able to make our Traptrix monsters absolutely massive. This card will come out at 2800 attack points and will boost cards like your copy of Pangicula up to 3500, which is just absolutely insane. This card is a definite one of the deck and one of the craziest cards in the extra deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Traptrix before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's absolutely insane how powerful this deck is and how easy it is to control the board with all of your Traptrix monsters. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come to our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.